Parenting can be so beautiful sometimes. Oh, those Christmas mornings, long snuggles, just seeing your kids graduate from high school, seeing them go off to their first prom. So many amazing things happen. And yet there's also so much painful stuff that happens in the daily grind. They don't listen. They talk back. They disrespect. They're lazy. And then that pushes our buttons. We get very emotional. We get really dysregulated and we yell, we snap, we scold, we lecture. And so we care about you and your family. So today, Jordan, we're going to give them some tips and some tools on anger management.
Please. Hey, you used a term and I don't know if you said it right or if you need to correct yourself or if I've just never heard it.
Yeah.
What does dysregulated mean? You said when they're angry, we get
Yeah, that's
dysregulated.
a
What
a
is
word
that?
that's actually become pretty popular just in the last 5 years. It hasn't
Really?
been popular before that. Like in the parenting world, a lot of people like me talk about it. It's just like your emotions they're not regulated anymore. You know, you go like essentially where we
Okay.
want to be is like if you have a thermometer, we want to be in the green. And some of us, we
Okay.
go like up into the red. So we're yelling, we're snapping, we're stewing in our mind. And then some people, they kind of go
Right.
into the blue, which is they get very quiet, they get avoidant, they withdraw. And either one are like, we're not doing
Oh.
well. And it's so funny because people like us, we often talk about the dangers of yelling and anger is not good, not good. But being in that blue
Right.
is just as negative. In fact, they made a whole movie with Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson called Anger Management. And he didn't like
Anger
yell. He
management,
didn't
that's
yell or
right.
get crazy at people, but like Jack Nicholson knew that you're living in the blue, man. You are just stewing in anger and you're just shutting it
Right.
down. Yeah.
So reality, we all should have the balance of fluctuating
Mhm.
and not staying in one color or one area,
Yes.
but we have to manage those
Bro,
fluctuations.
oh gosh, well said. Yes. Yes, absolutely. In
Okay,
fact
okay.
in fact, we all have friends, or you might be one of those people listening to it, where you have a real discomfort in going to the red or to the blue. You just you just wanna put a facade on that you're in the green. Everything's good.
Right.
I'm fine. It's good. That's okay.
Yeah, and you pretend.
Mhm.
Some people take medication for it to stay in the green,
Mhm.
and then they don't really have the feels.
Yeah.
I could see that. And then you've got the other people, which we've seen on social media so often. You go to a bar, someone wants to pick a fight because they looked at you the wrong way, and they get
Yeah.
to the anger
Oh, they
fast.
sure
And they're
do.
like, "Dude, calm down. I was just asking for directions."
I gotta admit, like
What'd you say?
what'd you say? Yeah, one of my favorite genres
Right.
of social media videos right now is just like Karen videos. Like people of
Yeah.
complaining or
There's
getting
plenty
all
of those.
heated and angry and people are taping them, like just watching people get upset on camera can be an entertaining thing. But here's like the thing about anger management. If you type in like skills for anger management on into the internet, you're going to get a lot of the same basic information like breathe, walk away, listen to music. And that's all
Okay.
good stuff, but I want to give you some deeper stuff here, some deeper education, some inspiration
Education's always
about
good.
some things. So today what I crafted is I got 7 ideas for you if you whether you struggle with anger or not, or maybe you have a loved one, even a teenager, a child, or your own spouse that struggle with anger, maybe you send this to them and say, "Hey, if somebody sent this to you, it means they love you, they care about you, and they we all got our own stuff, we all got our own struggles, and this is just tools for your toolbox."
I love it. And when we first were about to start this podcast, everybody, I asked Sean, I was like, man, where does anger come from? And then I
Yeah.
started thinking on this like philosophical level,
Yeah.
like, why do we get angry? And then I'm like, why are there emotions? And why is this here? And then I don't know if I have an answer for it, but Sean was like, well, you should talk about that and see if you could come up with your idea of why we have anger. And the only thing I could think of is like, we know there's good and we know there's bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't always be good and you can't always be bad. There's a balance, and whenever something is bad, that tends to affect us,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Then it's up to us. I'm just realizing this as I'm talking this
Yeah.
out. It's up to us to take that feeling that the bad presented itself to us, that anger,
Yeah.
and try to turn it around for good. And if we don't, then ultimately what we're going to be is what Sean is trying to get us not to be, right? Just that anger
Mhm.
person who's reactionary,
Yeah.
who is
Yeah,
dysregulated,
yeah.
and just
Right.
not a good parent in this
Right.
case. Like the other day I was just sitting on my couch taking a nap
Mhm.
or trying to. my little one climbed up on top of me and just started sitting on me like a sumo wrestler, like up and down,
Yep,
boom,
yep,
boom,
yep.
boom, boom,
Yeah,
right? Just
yeah,
hilarious. And I was like, oh, you startled me awake and
right.
I'm so angry. But then I had to think to myself, like, this isn't going to happen forever.
Mm,
And I'm enjoying him
mhm,
jumping all over me right now watching him
mhm,
play.
and that's, like, a good tool that we're actually gonna talk about today is how did you think about that moment? How did you process it? How have you trained your mind to think? I drive a big truck. It's a right now I'm driving a 2024, uh, Tundra lifted, big lift with big tires, and I was in Home Depot just 2 days ago, and I was driving out, Jordan, and I saw this older man kinda drive into the parking lot, and
Okay.
we kinda came at the crossroads of, like, in the parking lot. So I just stopped my car because I could tell, like, he was, like, looking around, like, he didn't know where to drive, right? And his wife was in the passenger
Right.
seat. And I just was gonna keep it cool, so I just stopped. I said, "Does this guy see me? I don't know if he sees me or not. Is he gonna hit me?" And I was like, "I'm just gonna play
Right.
it safe, defensive driving." And then what happens
Okay.
is he starts driving and he almost hits me because he clearly doesn't see this huge truck that's sitting at like, 2 o'clock, right? And then all of a
Poor
sudden he
man.
slams on his brakes and he sees me and he just starts yelling at the car. He's like cussing the truck, me. I'm way up high, so he can't even see my face. And he just
And you were stopped not
I
doing
was stopped
anything.
for it felt I was stopped, it felt like a half hour, but I was stopped for like 10 seconds. And it just made me
Right.
think like, God, like part of me starts judging him. Like, gosh, what a
Mhm.
loser. Gosh, what kind of guy is losing his temper? Like I'm thinking about like his own wife. Gosh, why has she been dealing with that for 80 years? Because that old timer.
Yeah.
But then
Road rage is serious,
it
man.
is. It is because yeah, I think it gets into our fight, flight, or freeze. It's scary, so it like gets our survival tactics. But at the same time, but then my daughter just last night, I'm standing here talking to my wife, and my 8-year-old daughter comes up and she slaps my butt super hard, and I hate that. This is what
Ouch.
she does. She like loves butts. She goes around saying, "I love butts," and she's slapping people, and we tell her all the time, "Stop slapping our butts."
Yeah.
And
Right.
sometimes I'll just get this rage inside of me, like, "Ugh!" Like, "Who just hit me?" Or like, but then I
Right.
think to myself, like, see, I'm no different than the old man. I'm judging the old man.
Yeah.
I'm no different than you. We all got our stuff. We all deal with
We all get
anger,
triggered.
right? We all get
Yes.
triggered. I got a couple stories of clients that I'll tell you about. But here's a couple. Can I share a couple tools?
Yeah, because the ultimately we've done a couple podcasts on these now, and they're all so great because we learn a little bit, something new each time. But ultimately, we're trying to figure out how to lessen that blow, right? How to
Mhm.
just keep it cool.
Yeah, keep it cool.
Right? What did Thumper say in Bambi? "If you don't have something nice to say, don't
Mhm.
say anything at
Yeah,
all,"
yeah.
right? So how do we bite thy tongue
Mhm.
when all we wanna do is scream?
I like when you said keep it cool. I think we're gonna try to keep everyone just visualize like that you have this thermometer. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm wearing a very bright red San Francisco 49ers hat right now, and Jordan is actually wearing a dark blue hat to promote
It's my Kinland Coast hat.
Kinland
Yeah.
Coast to promote Gigi's Playhouse, which is a nonprofit that his wife supports and his family supports that supports children with Down syndrome, right? And so these blues and these reds are a part of the human experience. We saw that in the movie Inside Out, and you just know this is what it means to be human. We get very hot and we can get very cold.
Mhm.
And it's good to go there, but it's what we do to self regulate ourselves. So we let ourselves go there, but we don't act out when we're in those moments. We don't do stupid stuff. We don't say harmful things. We don't blame people. You triggered me. That's why I said it. But self regulation
Right.
means the ability to counsel yourself, the ability to move yourself back into the green, into the middle, the ability to not beg or need someone to do that for you. Yes, we have people that love us, that care about us. They can help us with that. There are helpers. We're friends, family, AA meetings, good videos, good support, good people, real life. But it's personally our personal responsibility to move ourselves into the green. And I'm going to share some tools for that. Did you like that description? That sounds like
I
I feel good
do.
about what I
I
just said
do.
right there. Like makes sense.
I love it. And we have a visual now of where we need to go. So, how many tools we got?
Yeah,
8?
about 6 to 8. Yeah.
6? Okay,
Don't
cool.
mind
Give
real
us number 1.
okay, the first one is I'm actually gonna play you a video clip. There's a famous author and kinda like nutritionist, physiologist, scientist named Peter Attai, and he was interviewed on the Joe Rogan show about a year ago, and just randomly, they were talking about parenting, and Peter shared a little clip, a little snippet from his life about something he learned in parenting, and we want to play it for you here, and then chat about it. Here it is, right here.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I like what he said, right? And I like the idea of remembering in that moment if you were that old, 80, and you could go back to tell yourself how to react in that one time. I think it's a lot harder when you're in the moment, but it's very, very wise, which is why I'm always trying to say, like, no matter what's happening, you have to take a breath and take a second so you can maybe have a chance to reflect and think like that. But if you can be wise and do think like that, I think you could stay cool as a cucumber with, no matter what life throws your
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's about
Because no one wants to yell at their kid, right?
no,
And everyone knows
no,
there's gonna be some day where they're not in the house
nobody.
anymore, and it's gonna be sad.
Nobody wants to yell at their kid, and nobody wants anyone else to yell at their kids. Y-
Definitely not.
So, like, you think about that. These are just today. You're going to get a lot of tips and tools about what to think about. Anger management lives in our mind. We trigger ourselves by how we think. So instead of thinking this or that, let me give you some tools to think about. When Peter says there is, hey, this is what I want you to do. I want you to imagine this moment and let
Yeah.
that imagination regulate your mind to bring you to this place where you can be loving and patient.
I would say this tip has helped me the most.
Mm,
I don't know what the other tips are, but I
mm,
can already reflect on
really?
my own life. The fact that I'm such a forward thinker and I think
Mm,
about later in life, and then I break down the years I
mm,
have left with my kids, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they're gonna be driving in 5 years, and oh my gosh,
yeah.
they're gonna be out of the house," and, like, I only have 6
Yeah.
more Halloweens and 5 more Christmases. Like, when you look at it like that, it gives you a chance to look at your life on the timeline and like, "Dude,
Mm.
be cool."
Just like I do on most mornings, I woke up early today and I did a workout in my garage. I did a cold plunge. And then I was heading to the shower to shower and get ready for the day. And my 8-year-old was up early and everyone else in the house was sleeping. And this is a weekday, it's a normal Tuesday. And I thought to myself, you know what? Let me just maybe spend some time with her because if I don't, then she's going to go around waking everybody else in the house. And so I said, hey, Kenzie, do you
That's
want to play
right.
Sorry together?
Smart.
So we've been playing Sorry recently, the board game. It's great. And we're just starting to look at the game and set it up. And she's just she has her hands on her knee. And I look at her hand and I just thought, gosh, that's the most beautiful hand I've ever seen in my life. Just a cute little 8-year-old hand. It's just so perfect.
That's
It's
sweet.
so
That's
sweet.
good.
And like, sh- I'm only gonna, she's only gonna have that 8-year-old hand, for today. Because tomorrow it's gonna be
Right.
older. It's an older hand. It's a
Uh-huh.
sweet little perfect soft skin hand. And I was like, just thanking God for that hand and for this moment that I get have an 8-year-old that wants to play sorry with me on a Tuesday morning before work. And it's that
Yeah.
type of thinking, I think, is what we need, that type of gratitude to be the parents we want to be.
Normal people, though, I wouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. Sorry. I should say the majority of us maybe wouldn't get to that place. We'd be like, roll, it's your turn. What are you doing? We would just think about the moment instead of looking beyond the moment. And that's what you did. You looked beyond the moment,
Hmm.
which we all
Yeah.
need to do, but it takes
Yeah.
training to get there.
So here's a second tip. You might have heard this before, so we're just going to be real quick about it. Is just try to remember HALT. 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 So the next time your kids are acting out, not listening to you, or you feel like you're about to snap, halt. Ask yourself, is my child hungry? H is for hungry.
Mm,
A is
okay.
angry. Are they angry? L is lonely. Are they maybe lonely, disconnected? Like it's shocking how quickly kids under 11 can feel lonely. In fact, oftentimes when your child is saying, I'm bored, or your child is coming up to you to spank you on the butt, or bother you, it's
Ah,
because they're actually lonely. They're not bored. They wanna
right.
be with people. We're wired for connection, and T is for tired. There was some research actually done out of Ohio State University on marriage. Listen to
The
this.
the
And
Ohio
they
State
said that their
University.
research found that most fights that happen between spouses, one of them is angry.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Did I say
That
angry?
is
Did I say
ridiculous.
angry or did I say
Yes,
hungry?
you said you said
Oh
angry.
my gosh, I said the wrong word. I said the
Oh, it's
wrong word.
hungry. I was gonna say, of course they're
I said I'm
angry.
so dumb.
If
I
there's
said the
a
wrong
fight,
word.
okay,
Most are
they're hungry.
hungry. Hungry.
Okay,
That's funny too.
which is where the term angry
They're
comes
both
from. Yeah,
funny, but
that's
I can't believe I
funny.
said the wrong word. Most fights occur is because they're hangry. Yes, obviously. That's not funny as much.
So if
They're
I'm fighting with my
hungry.
spouse, would it be okay for me to go in the fridge and grab a piece of cheese, and while she's yelling at me, just shove that cheese right in her mouth
I
and just
shove
say,
it
"Here."
in your mouth. Bro, all the time, if I'm
Say,
gonna
"Here."
no, seriously, that's actually one of my coping skills. I know that when Danielle gets upset at me, um, I wanna be my best version. I wanna be loving, and it's very hard for me because sometimes she wants to process through emotions for a lot longer than I do, so I will pour myself a nice cup of water, I will get an apple or a snack, and I will, like it helps me to be loving if I'm taking care of myself.
Oh,
Yeah, so think about that. Next time you're about
that's
to lose it,
wise.
go get
Okay.
yourself a snacky snack.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to
All
know.
right. All right, how about this one? Okay, next tool is, this next tool is called "This isn't about you," or "No, this isn't about me." Here's what I mean. Help me teach this one. I need help, Jordan. Oftentimes what happens is
Okay.
that somebody is, not doing what you want them to do, and you get angry about it. But the reason why you're getting angry, and me too, I'm talking to myself. In fact, even though I can't teach this very well, I think the reason I can't teach it very well is because I struggle with it. And I make it about me. It's like I make
Well, we all
their
do.
bad behavior or their choice, and I somehow take that on and I let it bother me. And I therefore then make it about me and I let it affect me. It's like I give my power away. Tell me, help me teach this.
So I think, you know, in our lives, no matter what is going on, we think we're the center of the universe and all revolves around us, right? So if we get yelled at, we can tend to think like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do? Why did I cause this?" But what I think you're trying to say is sometimes we have to think that it's not just one-sided. It takes 2 to tango.
Mhm.
And so there are times when we have to also put ourselves in the other person's body. And so let's say let this example of you're getting yelled at, maybe they're hungry, maybe they've got something going on and you're
Yes.
just getting it's just getting taken out
Well
on you, but it's
said.
not reality reflected on you.
So, okay, you taught it better than me. Tell me more. Give me an example. What do I say to myself if my teenager is snapping at me, rolling their eyes, and it's because they're halt, but I'm not? What
Yeah.
do I say to myself so I don't take that on and make it about me?
Well, I just heard an example the other day from a friend, and it was the craziest thing I've ever heard. So he was telling me his life story,
Mhm.
and he was sitting next to his wife, and we were sitting there having dinner, and he was telling me, they're older, and he was telling me about what happened when they were young, is in the military, and then he told me he's like, and then I had an affair,
Mm.
and then I was like, wow, I can't believe he just came out and told
Right,
me
just
that,
jump
and
to
he's
it,
like,
yeah.
and blah blah blah, and he just said he just jumped to it. And then I was like, "Wow, that's pretty amazing that you guys were able to work through that."
Yeah.
And he says, "You know why I was able to work through that? Because of the way my wife responded." And I was like, "Well, how did you respond?"
Oh.
And she said, when he called her and says, "I don't wanna be together anymore. I'm having an affair and I wanna be with this other person."
Yeah.
She said, "I must not be giving you what you need." So she took the blame instead of pointing at him, saying, "What are you doing? How dare
Wow.
you? What
Wow.
why?" She was like, "What am I doing
Wow.
to
Okay.
not fulfill his needs?" And he was like, "Wow, I wasn't expecting that reaction." And so that basically helped keep them together because
Mhm.
she was so mature in that stage when really
Wow.
she wanted to take a 2 by 4 and throw it across his
Yeah,
face.
she felt so betrayed,
So
yeah.
right. So to go back to your, analogy with, our kids, they're teenagers and they're going,
Mhm.
we just have to sometimes take, what's his name said, and jump in that time
Yeah.
machine and go back to when we were teenagers and remember the pressure trying to get schoolwork done. We just didn't make the cheerleading squad or the football team, and so we feel down about that.
Yes.
And now you got social media. Someone just dissed me on social media, and
Right.
I've got to, and so they've got so much, and
Mhm.
so I think it's more of our job instead of react at them when they are snipping at us and try to teach them, as you say,
Yes.
as they can't filter out all the noise sometimes like we can. Wisdom will
Yes.
help us do that over time.
Gosh, so well said. May I, because adultery is such a sensitive topic, may I put a little, attention
Spin.
over one of the words you said?
Oh, yes.
I think,
Yes.
uh, my advice and my thoughts would be we change that word blame because you said
Blame.
she
Okay.
took some of the blame. I believe what you were really maybe a better word you were trying to say would be she, let's take the word blame out of it. She
Responsibility?
she wanted to, look in herself to see how maybe she was contributing to the deterioration of the relationship.
Yes.
Can you see that's a
Yeah,
different
that's a nicer way to say
I
it.
think it's
Yeah, I didn't mean that yeah, I was summing up what she said, but I don't ever remember her using the term
yeah.
blame.
Yeah, like, it's my
That
fault
is a
you
big
had an
word. That is a
affair.
heavy
Yeah,
word.
that's a heavy word, and yeah,
Right.
she saw it, and let's so we would do that with parenting, is we see our kids acting out, and we maybe say one word, like, we actually and then instead of us blaming them for acting out, we can say, maybe I didn't communicate that as well. Maybe how did I contribute to
Right.
the deterioration of the child's mental health or anger or whatever, right? Yeah.
So we have a couple of 10-year-olds, they're about to be 11, and there's a lot of emotions right
Uh-huh.
now, right? And so, there'll be times when our daughter, she's even has more
Yeah.
emotions, and she'll be just in a mood, right?
Mhm.
She will just
Mhm.
everything bugs her.
Yeah.
She's just mad, and she'll treat me and my wife like crap
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I could easily be like, "How," "Say you're sorry to your mom," or,
Yeah.
"You don't talk to us like that,"
Mhm.
or, "Go to your room, think about what you said," right? Because it could easily trigger me.
Yes.
But
Of course.
what we've been doing more often is sitting her down and being like, "Is there something we're doing to make you upset?"
That's
W
good.
And then she'll be like, "No,
Yeah.
I got my homework, it's so
Yeah.
frustrating." Okay, that's understandable, but then why are you being so mean to us? And then we'll
Mhm.
make her think like,
Mhm.
"Well, I'm not trying to be mean to you." We'll be
Yeah.
like, "Well, you are, and it's really hurting our
Yeah.
feelings, and we don't
Yes.
like that. I don't want you to treat me like that."
Yes.
So, we've done
Wow.
that, and it sinks more, right? It allows the weight of her reactions to be like, "Oh, yeah, I don't need to be treating other people like that when I'm upset."
Let me do my best to put what you just said into a tool for today. All right. Here's my here's a little like title. And if you're taking notes at home, you might want to write this down because this topic I think is one of the most important parts of child psychology to understand with parenting. I'll say it like this. You are their person, and that was a crappy Evite. Let me say it again. Why do you act this way? Why? You even said that in your story. Well, the answer is this is because you are their person, and that was a crappy Evite. Let me explain. There's only one or two people in the entire universe um, who your children feel safe coming to, they're looking for comfort. They're looking for a listener. They're looking for validation. Now, hopefully that you are that person because if your child is coming to you and not avoiding you, it means you are their person. Makes you with me so far? And
Mhm.
that's what we want to be,
Yeah.
their person. Like I distinctly remember in the teenage years when I decided my dad is not my person anymore. He's not for me. He's not here.
Right. Right.
And it was like a funeral, and it still is like a funeral. It's like
Yeah.
the day my dad died. My dad didn't die; he's still alive, but I just was like, "Yep, he's not here." So they're coming to us because we are their person. So yay for us!
Yeah, if we look at it that way,
If
but also could argue that because we are their person and they feel like they can unload on us, they could push us away.
yes, They sure can. Well, this is where the next part comes in. You maybe heard me talk about this analogy on this podcast before. I love it. You know, when you get an Evite and maybe to like a really great barbecue or a pool party or a Christmas party, and you just it's a beautiful Evite. You're like, yes, I can't wait to go to this party. You know, we all had that feeling or get an invitation. You with me? Don't you love that?
Yep.
Get invited to a big
Oh yeah.
event. Maybe it's a family
You know it's gonna be
reunion.
fun.
Maybe it's even like
Right.
if you're the fantasy football draft or a girls' night, bunko night, girls' night out trip, right? You get so stoked. You get to think about it
Yeah.
because someone's inviting you into something for connection, because somebody's
Right.
inviting you into something for connection. But here's here's something to think about. Numerous times a day, your kids are inviting you into something for connection, but their evites suck. They're not inviting. They're not inviting.
No, they're not.
They're they're like they're like invitations to the world's worst parties, and
Right.
you don't wanna go to them because the invitation is so
Yeah, we don't wanna
poorly
deal with it.
phrased, and it's so
Right.
annoying, and it's so
Right.
constant. But if you can train your mind to see, "Look, this is my child, this is my teenager's way of trying to connect with me. Like, I am their person, and this is"
I just wanna teach them faster to send nice evites, okay?
Just
It's
train your
taking a
mind,
long
like,
time.
this is not the time to teach them how to send nice Evites. This is time
Right.
to accept the Evite and teach them later on about good Evites versus crappy, stupid ones. But that is a key to becoming the parent we wanna be. Just not taking that on personally, not being reactive to these stupid Evites and be like, "Hey, I will hit accept
Right.
to this party, even though it's gonna be hard to go to. I'm
Okay.
going, and honey, I'm here. What's up?"
Yeah. That takes a lot of, chill power by us parents, right? A lot of, uh, just staying calm and collective in the moment when all we wanna do is yell back, but
Yeah.
I tell you what, if we just stay quiet for a little bit, I think we
Yeah.
could overcome the urge of wanting to explode.
Yeah, I got a couple more tips before we go, but here's something cool. Like if you have a pattern, this is here's a story that happens with my clients all the time. It's hilarious true story. So I have
Okay.
this, awesome VIP membership. It's like incredible. And when parents come in, they say these are my problems, and then I show them how to solve the problems. I do role playing, one-on-ones, coaching with them, and then you know, they get their problem solved. It's actually like 100% satisfaction guaranteed, 100% customer satisfaction rate for many, many years now. It's incredible. But here's what happens. I think it's funny. They'll start using their new tools and they'll start managing their emotions better and they start speaking to their kids in a different way. You with me so far? And
Yeah.
here's a common response that the kids say to the parents. The kids and teenagers will say, why are you talking to me like that? Like, why are you saying that to me? What are you doing? Like, what does that mean? What you're saying? Like, why are you being weird? So that is
Right.
like hilarious. But that is often what happens when you start making deep changes in your parenting. Your kids will then
They
look
get
at you and be like,
confused
where'd this go? And then this is pretty deep. Here's a little, why do you think that many kids actually prefer a yelling or angry parent versus a composed, loving one? That is something I've had to learn over the last 20 years. Many kids are scared by this change and spooked out. But why? Why do you think they don't want it?
because
It's
they already have an understanding of what the yelling parent would be like, or they know how to deal with it and they don't know how to deal with the other method yet. Maybe that's why.
that's exactly it, man.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Makes sense. Yeah, if I have a parent that is I'm so used to getting yelled at or, "Oh, I'm gonna get the belt for this one," right? When we were kids, it's like, "Oh, I know I'm gonna get hit with the wooden spoon," or whatever that
Mm,
was back then. You just knew if you did something and mom or dad were to find out, you just knew what to
yeah,
expect.
you did.
And if they came home and
Mhm.
didn't pull it out and looked at you and said, "I'm just so disappointed in you,"
Yeah, man.
and then walked away, you'd be like,
Mm,
"Hold on a second. This is worse than getting the bell. What happened
yeah,
here?"
right. It's
You know?
scary.
Yeah.
What is this? Tell me, we got 2 more tips. I think the last one is maybe the best tip of the day. So, what do you do? Tell me little tricks in your routine that you do to just take care of yourself, like when you're not around your kids, so that when you are around your 3 kids, it's like, "Okay, I'm ready for this." Like, I'm not overstressed, overworked. What are a couple things you do throughout your day or your week that really
I
fill your
think the
bucket?
most important thing is to make sure you're fed.
Yeah.
Like you said, get yourself some good breakfast. But more importantly, I would argue it's sleep. Something as simple as like getting proper sleep
Yeah.
is so important. We
Mm,
as a society
so
don't
good.
get enough sleep. There's studies about that you can look at. We should be really getting 8 plus hours. Some people need 9 to 10.
Mm,
It's not just for kids that need that.
yeah,
Us adults need that too. So you got to start there. Then you can go the next step, right? Make sure you've got the food. What about the next step? Did I read today? Did I have a little meditation? Did I
yeah,
think about myself for a second, or was it constantly on them, right?
yeah.
Did I do anything that I enjoy? Doesn't have to be every day, but do I have something to look forward to? Maybe this party you're talking
Yeah,
about, or I got golfing with the buddies this
yeah,
weekend. Okay,
yeah.
it's Wednesday. I can get through this. I got something fun to look forward to. Do you have a hobby or something that you have to look forward to just be with
Yeah,
you or your friends,
yeah.
or a date night where you're away from the kids? And then ultimately, it just comes down to controlling your emotions
Mhm,
in the moment, right?
mhm.
So as long as you have all that other
Yeah,
stuff lined up, it makes it so much
yeah.
easier to keep it cool in the
Such good
moment.
advice. I'm 46. I feel like I need 9 hours of sleep. Like,
Me too.
9 is I feel like I need
Me
more than 8.
too.
And I usually, I've been playing a lot of basketball, but to play basketball, I have to get up at 5:10 in the morning. And so I've been playing a lot less because it just totally chumps into my sleep, and I feel like it really affects my day if I have to wake up that early,
Really?
and then I'm not as present, at nighttime. I have to go to bed earlier. So ho do you get about 9 or do you get less or more than that?
Yeah, I try to be in bed around my schedule around 7 p.m. Sounds super early for everybody, but I try to eat by like 5,
Mhm, mhm.
get to bed by
Yep,
7, and then I'm up by
yep.
4. So that's right around 8 to 9 hours,
Yeah,
depending on when I drift to sleep.
yeah.
But don't get me wrong. I mean, I could do all the things I just said. And
Mhm.
and the other day, I was, with my kids, and I was like, oh, they're driving me crazy,
Yeah,
and that's where the spouse came in. But
yeah,
I'm more collected on a day to day
yeah.
basis when I have all of
Yep.
those T's crossed and I's dotted.
Yeah, well said. And if you're surprised by Jordan's early bedtime, well, it's because he's a meteorologist on the Weather Channel, everyone.
I
So
gotta
you
get
go
up
and see
early.
him on the news, and that's why he's up leading the country in weather. One of the world's best meteorologists is where we're talking to you right now. So happy to have you. Okay, my last tip is this: instead of me just blurting it out, let me just teach it a little slower way by telling a couple stories. Why do you think? Like, I would think that going to a boot camp would be like pretty miserable. Like, I've never been to boot camp because I never joined the military,
Yo, it's hardcore.
but they wake you up, they interfere your sleep, they yell at you,
Yeah.
they put you on this
Hmm.
crazy routine. And so I don't think I'm interested in doing that. Like, I wouldn't go to one for 3 months, maybe for like a day, but it doesn't sound like a nice vacation to me. I'd rather go to Hawaii. What do you think about, like,
Yeah.
why do you think young men and women sign up to be uh go to boot camp when it's so miserable? I haven't met.
I don't know. You got the diehards out there. Maybe it's a boot camp workout and they want to get their body fit. I mean, I think deep down, everybody knows that working hard
Mhm,
is what we all need to feel really good about ourselves. It
mhm,
just sucks to have to do it.
mhm.
Right.
Yeah, well
So
said.
if you talk to anybody who sit on the beach in Hawaii for too long, it can get, even though it's beautiful,
Yeah,
it can just get boring because you're not really working on yourself. You're just
good.
sitting there, let life happen to you instead of
Mm.
going to attack life. So I think boot camp is like, no, no, I'm in charge and I'm going to allow my body to get beat down. And I'm going to allow myself to kind of get raw so that
Wow,
I can build myself stronger later.
that's so well said. That really ties into where I'm going with this. Let me take what you just said and build on
Okay.
that. So what I heard Jordan just say is like, yes, I understand that it's gonna be hard and not pleasurable, but, it's good for me, and I trust the boot camp, I trust the experience, and I trust the people leading the boot camp that this experience is gonna be good for me. Do you agree with everything I said? You see where I'm going with this so far?
Yes. Yes.
Here's what I want you to
Correct.
think about
Right.
with anger management in kids. For a child and a teenager, living with a parent is a little bit like going to a boot camp because they don't have much power over the leaders or over the routine. And what good parents do is they put our kids through routines. And what us good parents do is we're very demanding on our kids. We need them to do these things. So we're very demanding, but we're also very supportive. And so the psychology of a soldier has to do something of trust. Like, I don't really want to do this routine. Routines are hard for me, but I trust that this is going to be good. And because I trust the system of who established the routine, which would be like, I guess, the leaders who established this, then I will then do the routine. So here's where I'm going with this. If you really want your kids to thrive with your routine, if you really want your kids to listen to you, then one of the best things you can do is just build the connection with your kids and have grace and understanding that this is your routine for them, not their routine. You designed it. Like, you're making them wake up for school at a certain time. Then they got to go here. Then they got to go there. You got to make them clean their room, do their chores. And that's hard for them. And so the more we can be close with our kids, be graceful, be patient, be loving with them, the more they can thrive in our routines. And then therefore, we're not yelling as much because we kind of think about it that way.
Yeah, I get it, and it makes sense. So, as you were saying that, I was thinking like I really started doing more chores with my kids. Simple things. Hey, it's trash day, take the trash down. So the next day, take the trash up. Every day, unload the dishwasher, load the dishwasher. And before it was like, oh man, I don't know why? Why can't you? And now it's just like, okay, like there's no, it's just like, okay. And I'm like, oh, and so now I gotta slowly add more and add more and add more till I'm doing nothing. But
Yes. Yeah.
the reality is they are getting used to that routine and it's no big deal anymore.
They're not, it's no big deal because they know this is good for them and they trust you. They trust the people who design the routine and they get it that this is a loving, practical way for me to love my family, love myself, and be a good team player. I'm in.
Yeah. And the more we can explain why we're doing something, the more they understand too. Right. And so sometimes when they don't understand that, you just say, well, you know why I'm doing this?
Mhm.
I'm doing this to create an awesome individual in you. I'm
Yes.
doing this to give you the chance to be free when you're older, to understand what hard work means or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah, and so what does this have to do with anger management? It has everything to do with it. Because the reason why we're getting upset is because our kids are not obeying us like good little soldiers. And then we get
Mm,
upset and we want to yell and scold them or lose our temper. Instead, just train your mind, realizing like, look, this is like a child here. This isn't a soldier. Your home is not a firehouse or a police station or a boot camp. It's a place of little kids. And you've got to be patient and graceful them to move them into these good routines. And you are their coach, not their dictator. You are their support. And you want to be very demanding, but also very kind about it. And that type of mindset will help us to
right.
manage our emotions and stay in the grain and be patient with our little ones.
I like that. That's really good, dude. That's really good.
Hey, we did some good stuff today. We talked about Peter Attai and just imagining, us being 80,
Jumping in the
looking
past.
back. We talked about Holt, really understanding that we and our kids get hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. We talked about it's not about you. It's not about you. This is them.
Mhm.
They're different than you. They're on their own journey. We talk about how
Right.
many crappy Evites that our kids send to us, bidding us for invitation.
Right.
And we talked about, routines, how good they are for kids, but how we've got to be patient with them and not lose our temper and stay in the greens with our routines. And we told a lot of good stories about good things that happen when we manage our emotions well. Jordan, it's been a great episode.
It really has. Have fun parenting out there, everybody, and try to remember these. If you wrote down the notes, keep them with you. Biggest thing is just controlling yourselves in those heated moments because there's going to be more. But stay cool, my friends. Stay cool.